So Billy Carson doesn't believe that Jesus was ever crucified, but he's basing that claim off a known forgery.
I misquoted there. It's the Gospel of Barnabas. Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible.
I've actually worked with, there are two manuscripts of the Gospel of Barnabas, which we only have two copies of. One is in Italian and one is in Spanish, not to be confused with either the Epistle of Barnabas or the Acts of Barnabas, which are two apocryphal documents from the 2nd century. But the Gospel of Barnabas in particular, we know it's a forgery. In chapter 92, it says that Jesus spent 40 days on Mount Sinai, and then he came to the Jordan River and he walked to Jerusalem. But Mount Sinai is more than a week's journey away from Jerusalem. It shows no actual indication of coming from or even having knowledge of 1st century Jewish understanding. It actually says Jesus is the Christ, but not the Messiah. Whoever the author is, he didn't know that those were the same words. The Gospel of Barnabas paraphrases Dante's Inferno, which was written in 1314. We don't have any evidence of it prior to the 14th century. So I'm a historian. So if there is something that denies the crucifixion, I want to make sure that I'm analyzing it and that the methodology by which I analyze it actually reveals that the content can be accurately tied to the event. We have single copies of the Gospels that can be dated to the 2nd century that all do have the crucifixion. I have a facsimile behind me of P66. This is a late 2nd century copy of the Gospel of John. I work with this particular manuscript. This is an almost complete copy of the Gospel of John, and it has the crucifixion. And so if we're relying on something like the Gospel of Barnabas, which is not just that there's debate about it, it's that it's a known forgery. I mean, no one's referring to the Gospel of Barnabas as anything other than.
If you say it's a known forgery, yes, but I'm going to go with that.
And you know what, Billy? I'm going to go with that one too. So I watched this podcast and I noticed that Billy started getting really upset when Wesley was talking about the crucifixion of Jesus. Billy then proceeds to say, you know what, this is a waste of time. We could go into so many different subjects. Why do you want to stick to this one? But I'm happy that Wesley stood his ground on this because he represents all of the Christians that have been hearing Billy Carson on all of these outlets, all of these social media outlets talking about that Jesus was never crucified. That is a really big deal when it comes to the Christian faith. If he wasn't crucified, then he didn't die. And if he didn't die, then he never resurrected. So if Billy's out here sowing seeds of deceit and spewing lies, it doesn't matter about where you've been, about what you've studied, about your titles and accolades. It's all about doing your due diligence to seeking the truth and presenting that in front of your audience. And unfortunately for Billy, when you build an empire like this, the one thing that can tear it all down is the truth, which is why you should always build your foundation on the truth every time.